to YCS Rimini 2015, which is the first YCS of the season, in case you're wondering, because it's the middle of the year. The first event after the World Championship marks the first event of the season. My name is Oliver German, I'm your host for the weekend, and I'm joined this weekend by Luke.
Hey Ollie, how's it going?
You guys remember Luke from the European Championships?
Yeah, I was there in Dublin, Ireland, only a few months ago.
Right, yeah, and now it feels like almost the same, but it's a new season.
Yep.
A lot has changed since the last event. We had the World Championship, was amazing event as always, with their very own forbidden and limited card list. So we don't see a lot of things that we saw at the World Championship affecting this event.
Yeah, it's quite a unique event with the way that they combine the two forbidden limited lists.
Right. But speaking of unique, this weekend we're going to see some unique card choices. We've spoken to a lot of players, and something you pointed out, a lot of the Italians really seem to be liking Burning Abyss.
Yeah, so I think the reason for that is the national champion was a Burning Abyss player, so generally people follow the national champion.
Yeah, all right.
Well, most of the time.
And also the two Italian players that went to the World Championship, they were of course also playing Burning Abyss back at the European Championship. So speaking of the Italian national champion, Alessandro di Patria, we invited him for our round 1 feature match, and he's going to go up against Roberta Facchini, and she's playing Batteryman. So this is going to be a very exciting match, kind of unique match. It's not something we're going to see too many times this weekend.
Yeah, Batteryman is a deck I've not seen in a long time, but it's got really, really good potential to put a lot of damage on the board and just...
And how is it positioned in this field? What do you want to play against if you're playing Batteryman?
It's hard to say, really. I think it's just a matter of you don't really mind what you play. You just want to get your combos going really quickly and win by getting a lot of damage on board really soon.
All right. The main event is already underway. The other guys have already started. So we don't like fall behind too much. Let's take you straight to the feature match table where these two have already sat down and shuffled their cards. And with that, we're going to kick things off with our round 1 feature match for YCS Rimini. As always, if you guys are not familiar with it, we're going to have the cards that are on the table and in the hands of those two guys on the right-hand side of the screen that we can operate with our app. And thanks to the help of our volunteers that are currently hiding, because last time we filmed them on the stream, they did some aerobics instead. Yep. They're going to work in all the cards that we're going to see on the stream, basically.
Yeah, so with this being positioned where it is, YCS Rimini is actually quite unique in the fact that it has a new Forbidden Limited list and a new core set out.
Right.
So we're going to be able to see what the impact of both of those things happening at once can do to the meta, really. One of those things being, we're going to see a lot of new tech choices with the cards from the core set, but not necessarily ones that would have been used before the list.
Right, yeah. And we're going to see a splash of some of these cards a couple times, and even some players went all the way and they said, okay, I'm going to play Cosmo, for example, this weekend, which is one of the new archetypes. Yeah. Even though some say it's still like lacking a little bit.
Yeah, it's a very interesting deck. They only have a few cards at the moment, but that's enough to get them going.
Right. All right. So let's see what we have there already. Those two are currently rolling the die to see who goes first. Roberta had a 3. I don't know. I didn't see what Alessandro was rolling.
No, I think it might have been higher than 3, but we'll see who goes first.
Okay, and some of you already said, like, this will be over in minutes. This is something you said as well. You said this match is going to be fast.
Yeah, because Batterymen either just do their thing and get a lot of damage out on the field, and then it's going to be over really quickly, or not, basically. And I think that Alessandro's got a good matchup here because of the way that Burning Abyss can just keep floating all their monsters. Each one of them goes and replaces itself somehow.
Right, and here on the right-hand side, like we promised you before, we do have the cards that these guys are holding on to. And is this a good card? I mean, he's got the Karma card that can certainly stop your opponent from going off, and one of the so-called floodgates in Vanity's Emptiness.
Yeah, he has a really good hand here, so he's able to mill 3 with Dante, sending Scam. Unfortunately, that graph is not going to be able to activate its effect because he already special summoned it earlier on in the turn. And then he's going to be able to set his cards. And then search out Seer, which also kind of puts into this combo that's in place. So he has Karma Cut, in which he's going to be able to discard Seer, and then revive one of his Burning Abyss monsters, and then immediately he has Fire Lake on the field, which is... Oh, no, sorry, he has Traveler as Burning Abyss.
He's got, yeah, there's Traveler.
Fire Lake. Okay, but still, he can use Karma Cut in that way.
Right. And Roberta, we don't have the cards yet. We can instead show you again what's on the field. There we go. This was her hand. We can expect the breakthrough skill to go face down here.
Yeah.
And possibly the Monarch Stormforth.
And Microcell set.
Yeah, okay, yeah, there we go. That's basically her opening play. And then it's back to Alessandro.
Yeah. So here we see Dante again using its effect to detach a material and then mill 3 cards from the top of the deck to the graveyard, which it gains attack points, 500 for each.
And he did hit a breakthrough skill, which might be important later on.
Yep.
And now we see the rock star of the Burning Abyss.
Yep.
That is Virgil.
Yeah. He's getting his guitar out. Well, I'm pretty sure it's a lute, but,
yeah.
you know. So I think...
Roberta used the breakthrough skill to
Yep.
negate that effect.
Yeah.
So she is going to get something out of her microcell. And there we go with the Traveler and the Burning Abyss.
Yeah, so this allows you to target any number of Burning Abyss monsters that were sent to your graveyard this turn, and then summon them to the field, and I think they get destroyed in the end phase.
No, they don't.
No, they don't get destroyed in the end phase, okay.
But
still,
most of the
here we
time
go.
you want to use them for something else anyway.
Yeah, so here we see a Dante play being made.
All right, and this is happening in main phase 2, so there are not going to be any more attacks this turn, which means that Roberta is not going to... it's still main.
No, we're still in main phase 1.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're going to see some damage here. And wow,
That's
that
actually
could
game.
be a very big swing. Yes, that looks like
Yeah,
game.
that is game.
There we go. The face down card even goes away as well. And this is it. Alessandro Di Patria, and only his second turn, assembling a field with 2 Dantes, the Virgil, and an Alucard,
Yeah, I think that's
taking out all the defenses that Roberta has, and that's exactly the opposite of what we were expecting, because we said the Batterymen are going to try to smash really fast and really hard.
Yeah, well, she just didn't have the cards to use the Batteryman combos. I mean, if she'd have had another turn with the microcells effect, she might have been able to use that, but no.
Yeah, but that's an excellent start for the reigning, defending Italian national champion. And now the side decks are going to play a major role for these two. And there are a couple of cards here that might be... How Alessandro is playing a Spell Canceller in the side deck and a Majesty's Fiend. How good are these cards against the Batteryman?
So Spell Canceller is not that useful, I don't think.
They rely more on the monsters than the spell
on the monster
cards.
effects. So Majesty's Fiend could be useful.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from that, there's not much else. Possibly he's going to put in Mystical Space Typhoons just because you don't really play them in the main deck anymore, because there are some decks that don't play trap cards, so you just don't need to worry about playing Mystical Space Typhoon in the main deck.
Right.
But as soon as you see a deck that is playing trap cards, then generally you'll go ahead and put those in.
All right, and Roberta, of course, should be coming prepared for this matchup. I mean, the 2 big decks with a target on their head should be Necros and Burning Abyss for this weekend. She's got Anti-Spell Fragrance, Chaos Trap Hole, Fairy Wind, Imperial Iron Wall, Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, and DD Crows. What are the best cards against Burning Abyss?
Yeah, so those latter 2 there, the Shadow Imprisoning Mirror and DD Crow, are both really useful against Burning Abyss. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror just negates all the effects of dark monsters.
So that's a good card, and if Alessandro were to know that this card might be introduced, Mystical Space Typhoon is the answer.
Another reason.
Yeah, and you can expect that, because as a national champion, most of these guys, they are able to think ahead. Sometimes it's a question of, am I thinking like too many steps ahead? And then you're suddenly getting caught in that whole thing.
Yeah, he's also got 2 main deck Fire Lakes that I assume those are going to stay in just because of this, the potential trap card hit that Roberta's going to be playing for Burning Abyss.
Mm-hmm. Right, what cards are you going to take out here if you want to get in the Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors and the DD Crow? Are there any? I mean, it's hard to make sense of half the deck list because it's in Italian.
So we saw like a Monarch Stormforth, and so you'll probably take out general things like general trap cards that you're not really going to be useful against Burning Abyss. So, like, Monarch Stormforce isn't that useful because you're going to still get the effect of the Burning Abyss monster, for example, when you'd just be better off, slowly summoning the monsters and then slowing down the Burning Abyss deck by using Shadow Imprisoning Mirror.
Yeah.
Basically, Roberta's looking to get Shadow Imprisoning Mirror out, and for Alessandro to not be able to remove it. That's pretty much what Roberta's going to be going for.
And sometimes that works. We've seen that before with cards like Mistake shutting down the opponent completely, and then suddenly the game was basically over because of one card. Sometimes that is what happens in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you don't find the answer.
Yep.
And your opponent has one of these so-called silver bullets that can overcome your deck all on their own.
Yeah.
Then this might be what you're looking at.
Yep.
And wow, talk about explosive. That first game was really like over in just if you blinked twice, you might have missed it.
Yeah.
So for our second game, we're starting with the hand of Alessandro, who's again got Skarm, Asir, Fiend Griefing. That's a card that you're a fan of, I remember.
Yeah, Fiend Grieving's really, really good. So it just disrupts your opponent and does exactly what you want in Burning Abyss, which is to put your Burning Abyss monsters in the graveyard, and from the best place, which is your deck, because it's so much choice.
Right, and the other cards in his hand, Torrential Tribute, Traveler in the Burning Abyss, and a Tour Guide. That's after he drew for his turn.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for the contents of Roberta's hand. But we can expect a Microcell maybe to be set again.
Yeah, but most definitely. So this is a great opening play. So I can only assume that he special summoned both of those monsters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know because we can't really tell. But yeah, that's gonna stop stop him in his tracks right there. So yeah, Ghost Trick Alucard destroys face down cards, but it's a dark monster. So yeah, this is exactly what Roberta was looking for.
Right, there is the Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, of course, in case you guys didn't notice it. That is the card in the back row of Roberta, and it could be making all the difference.
Oh, it's gonna here. I mean,
it is gonna.
Yeah. So actually, now that I think about it, did we even see that she was playing Batteryman? We didn't.
No,
we didn't
I
even
think
see.
she might have revealed the Monarch Stormforth in the back row, but I think that is it. So Alessandro might not be aware what he's going up against here.
Yeah.
And that might be his first clue. And the problem is, until he puts the pieces together of this little puzzle, the game might be over. She did not side out of Monarch Stormforth, but here it seems to be quite useful.
It's very useful in this situation because
allowing her to tribute the opponent's monster.
Yeah. So if that Monarch Stormforce is resolved and there's no other response, then we're going to enter an open game state. Yep. So here we go. And that is Batteryman Charger, I think.
Yeah, we're waiting just for a second until that comes out.
Yeah, so 9 volt is the 4-star monster.
The 4-star monster.
I think it's Batteryman Charger. I'm unsure though. But it when it's summoned, you get to go and summon a Batteryman from your deck.
So the most important card here, basically, for Alessandro is the Torrential Tribute. And when do you activate the Torrential Tribute? Do you keep waiting here?
I think roundabout there, when the tribute summon was made, would have been a good time for Torrential Tribute. But
it seems like he didn't use it.
He may be saving it for using it with one of his own monsters to try and trigger the effect, or something along those lines, maybe.
Or maybe he was waiting for an even bigger monster to hit the field. That's one of the questions. I mean, when you're playing Batteryman, can you expect your opponent to be prepared for this deck? And most of the time, the answer is no.
Yeah, so it is also possible that he thought that she had so Industrial Strength. I don't know what that's doing sat there, but it's possible that she added that to a hand and then decided not to summon it because of Torrential Tribute.
Right.
She might have thought, oh, he might have Torrential Tribute, which is fantastic.
Would be a great telegraph, not telegraph, but read from her.
Yeah, that'd be an insane read.
And those 3 attacks make it 1,300 life points for Alessandro.
It was Batteryman Charger.
Yeah, there we go. Here's the field. And
here's Constellanite Ptolemaeus, which is generally used for upping into Diamond. And now here we see the Torrential Tribute. So very quickly, that needs to be removed from the field because
the big question is, was that too late? Was the Torrential Tribute too late here?
No, I think it was the correct play to wait until he was going to lose because of the monsters on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it's still useful even during his turn because he has a tour guide. If I'm not
But
wrong.
he needs to get rid of the Shadow Imprisoning Mirror for the tour guide to work.
Yeah. So it's even possible that during maybe no, I was gonna say that he might decide to play Traveller and get Skarn back in the end phase. I don't think so. But yeah, I think just tour guide. Okay, here we go. Fiend Grieving, but it's not gonna be able to effectively use the Burning Abyss monster's effect because of Shadow Imprisoning Mirror.
Right.
Yeah, so we see that Roberta tried to play Call of the Haunted on 9 Volt, which is a great move, but was countered by
It's
Fiend
certainly a great move, yeah. And Alessandro is basically sitting there naked with a tour guide that doesn't do much and a Foolish that doesn't do much either, thanks to that Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. And it won't be said before, this one card could be the difference maker, is happening right now. And that is it. That's the conclusion of the second game. Roberta Facchini ties the score. It's now 1-1, but it's a different game now, a different ball game, because both guys, well, girl and guy, know what the other is playing now.
I told you it was going to be quick.
It's going to be quick, yeah. Certainly not underselling that match.
Yeah.
Right, and wow, this was great opening for our event so far, and now we're going into the third and deciding duel. And what does it feel like if you are a national champion? You're a world championship competitor. Everybody's going to look at you and they're going to expect big, big things from Alessandro. And now, I mean, he took the first game by storm.
Convincingly, yeah.
Yeah, so he's feeling really good. And now suddenly he's like, oh, okay, I'm going up against Batteryman.
Yeah, so I think the thing here to really note is the fact that, Batterymen, so, a lot of people talk about the interactions between meta decks and things like that, but Batterymen really just don't mind. They're just going to do their thing. And if they can do their thing, then, as we've just seen, you're going to be able to put a lot of damage on the board and threaten your opponent's life points really easily. All that came from was a single microcell effect.
Yeah.
So
talk about explosive, yeah.
Yeah.
Those batteries, if they would be in phones, they would call them back.
yeah, I think they would.
They would be like, these are way too lethal, they are way too explosive. All right, so that is 1-1 in the first round of YCS Rimini. Like I said before, the first YCS of the season, and we're going to see an interesting metagame this weekend. We're going to see Necros. I'm going to predict that.
Yeah, I think we are.
My fortune teller skills are very strong in that regard.
Yeah.
Burning Abyss might be one of the strongest decks because, like we said, it's very popular in Italy for some reason.
Yeah, but I think it's so because of Alessandro that this deck is so popular.
I think that's one of the reasons. Many guys I talked to told me that another reason is it's very well positioned in the field because it doesn't automatically lose to floodgates to a card like Vanity's Emptiness.
No.
Because it has so many cards to break those cards.
Yeah, it's the discard traps that really kind of push the deck home.
And with the new additions in the format, you never know if people are running with rogue decks. And those rogue decks could give, like a Necros player, lots of trouble sometimes. Yeah,
so I've actually just seen that Roberta's opened Shadow Imprisoning Mirror again.
Wow, that is definitely good.
Yeah, so the likelihood of Alessandro opening Mystical Space Typhoon is just as likely as last game, but we'll see if he manages to get that card.
All right,
there we go. Just as I said it. Yeah.
Yeah, this time he's definitely prepared for that Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. And wow, talk about a strong back row for Alessandro Di Patria.
Yeah. Casually just sets 4 back rows and passes his turn.
It's basically like he's got an answer to everything here.
Yeah, that's really, really scary.
Yeah.
When Burning Abyss set 4 back rows and have 1 card in hand, that's actually really, really scary because that could be a graph and one of those could be a discard trap and then you're just going to have a bad time.
Yeah. All right.
So here we go. That's one of the best possible moves for Batteryman here. I don't think he has a response to that.
He's got a Torrential Tribute if he wants to, but...
Yeah, but it's the effect that's the main part.
There is the Torrential Tribute is gone.
Yeah, so he wants to try and save his life points here.
Are we looking for the fuel cell?
Yeah.
Okay. Because now we're a little bit more prepared than before. Sometimes in the first round this happens, and you can tribute one Batteryman, accept this card to select 1 card your opponent controls and return it to its owner's hand. So that's not what he used.
Which card are you looking at?
I was just looking at the fuel cell.
Okay.
He used the 9-volt, right?
Yeah, the 9-volt was the one that was summoned. That one's that when it's summoned, you get to add one Batteryman monster from your deck to your hand.
Right, so you don't really mind losing that card.
No, well, no, you got the effect, but still, it would have been nice to keep it because its base stats are 1,000 attack points, but when its effect resolves, then you get to double its attack points.
Okay. So a Fiend Griefing, taking out that Batteryman from the graveyard to not allow Roberta to do any shenanigans with Call of the Haunted. And at the same time, it gives Alessandro another play.
Yeah, I think the main reason for that was so that he could play Graph.
Yeah, very versatile card, very useful in this archetype. And
Yeah, that's...
wow.
Oh.
That's a 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
But there's a Mystical Space Typhoon to take out that Shadow Imprisoning Mirror.
Yeah.
Now, Roberta is left with the Monarch Stormforth in her back row and a Raigeki.
Yeah. So, she has a Patria Charger as well. That's interesting, because she can play Monarch Stormforth, tribute the Graph for the Batteryman Charger.
Yeah.
Which is great, because then Batteryman Charger can special summon...
Is it Battery Charger or Batteryman Charger?
Oh.
I think...
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Battery Charger is a completely different card. Pretty sure that you can pay 500 life points to special summon a Batteryman from your graveyard.
Yes, exactly. That is exactly what it reads like. And here's a Raigeki, which is not one of the strongest cards against Burning Abyss, because they tend to replace themselves.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why Raigeki, when it was first allowed again, hasn't been played at all.
Okay, yeah, it was a Batteryman Charger, not Battery Charger.
Okay, there we go.
Maybe. Well, that is Batteryman Charger, so we're going to get to see its effect again, and the 9-volt's going to be special summoned. And Alessandro has no response here.
Yeah, he's got a Karma card with no cards in hand and a Fire Lake with no monsters of the Burning Abyss. That's quite a mouthful on the field. So again, we see what we saw in the game before, that he does have some cards, but he cannot activate them or use them in any useful way.
I mean, that fuel cell that she's adding to her hand, she can just special summon that right away, and that other one as well. So I think he just loses now.
Well, he's taking a lot of damage, and
yeah, I think
that is it. Yeah, it is enough. The tons of damage was enough.
Wow, the tons of damage was enough.
Yeah, coming back from a early defeat in the first game, Roberta Facchini turns things upside down, and you can't help but feel sorry for Alessandro Di Patria, the national champion.
Yep.
Wow, he's being shown how it's done.
I think we should go outside and tell everyone that they should be playing Batteryman and not Burning Abyss.
Batteryman are a thing, and wow, Roberta Facchini, what a start into the day for her.
Yeah.
Taking down the national champion, former world championship competitor, and this is basically like a roller coaster ride for Alessandro. Earlier this year, wins the national championship, feels like he's here. Goes to the European Championship, ends up in the top 4, feels like he's even higher than before. Goes to the World Championship, doesn't do so well, maybe he goes a little down, and now suddenly he loses in the first round of YCS Rimini. So talk about it like a major drop there.
Yeah, well, I'm going to refer to the fact that I said it was going to be over soon. that was...
Yeah, those 3 games took as long as sometimes one game takes between like a Necros Mirror or something like that, yeah. And wow, there was a lot to take away from this. First of all, Batteryman are a thing.
Yeah.
That was definitely a very impressive showing for that deck. And other than that, Burning Abyss seems to be well positioned, but against certain decks it can also struggle, just like the Necros archetype.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think even with like a Necros OTK there, there wasn't really much that Alessandro would have been able to do. And
yeah, exactly. What about other decks? Would they have like persevered in this situation, or would they have just been handed the...
well, okay, so Necros has Valkyrus, which can
that can stop
very easily stop things like this happening.
All right, so you don't want to play against Necros with the Batteryman, or
no,
not so much?
Not at all, because you're going to be able to be stopped by Valkyrus, and you have a bunch of monsters on the field, which is never a good idea.
Right. But there is a silver lining to all of this, and that is that it seems to do really well, or well enough against Batteryman.
Yeah.
All right. We have a lot in store for you this weekend. We're gonna have
that was an absolute blast
off.
Yeah,
that's how we roll. That's how we kick things off.
Yeah.
But there's gonna be a lot more this weekend. We're gonna have updates on the organized play schedule for you. You're gonna hear about a brand new organized play program that we're going to introduce you to this weekend. I'm just going to give you a very, very little primer, and that's this red envelope. Look out for that if you see it in the coverage. Listen very closely, because that's going to be exciting. There's a local tournament series coming to you, to a store near you, so to speak. And then you also interviewed some guys yesterday already.
Yep. So I was talking to the head judge of YCS Rimini, Hector Santana, who was able to go to the World Championships in Kyoto, and he tells us all about his journey, kind of getting to Kyoto physically, and the kind of judging.
Did he fly to Osaka?
Yeah, I think so. He started there and then off to.
Yeah, so
off to
he
Kyoto.
made a trip through half of Japan, and he's sharing some of this with us, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we got Marcelo Barberi.
Marcelo Barberi, yeah, good friend of mine.
One of the nicest guys on the circuit. We see him at
lovely.
almost every event. So we got a couple of player interviews. For the first time ever this weekend, we're going to see players introducing their decks to you. So sometimes when we show you decks, you're like, yeah, but you guys do commentary. You don't know how to play this game. Like in my case, that's true. In his case, not so much. But still, not fans of our deck features. So we just decided, okay, let's bring in some players, and they're going to show you their decks instead, so you can make fun of them instead of us.
Yeah, we actually got some really interesting decks as well. I'm really looking forward to looking at Peter Gross's Cosmo deck.
Right. Yeah, that's going to be one. Okay, we're going to take a very short break and try to have an interview with Roberta. Maybe we do need some translation. I'm not sure about that. But we got Marco in our feature match area who can help us out on that end. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back and give you some more information about how that went down.